So now we're going to talk about what can be, but not always, a challenge when you have a child with diabetes, and that is managing diabetes at school. And specifically today we're going to talk about the Section 504 plan. The reason it's called the Section 504 plan is because its name comes from Section 504 of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so its nickname now is the 504 plan, and every child with diabetes should have one. So what is it? Well, it's a plan that outlines what the school will do to make sure that your child or the student with diabetes is medically safe at school. It will also make sure that that same child has access to the same education as everybody else, that they're not told you can't go on the educational field trip because there's no one at the school who can give you insulin and your parent couldn't get off work to come with you today. In addition, we need to make sure that there's no discrimination, that that child is treated fairly. So what do you need to do? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to request a diabetes medical management plan. Some people call this doctor's orders. You can get these from your child's diabetes doctor or the doctor's office. It's best to ask for these in advance. Don't wait until the first day of school or the week before school starts. Ask for them sometime mid-summer or even as the last school year is ending, because they can be done. And then you're going to write to the school, in writing, you're going to request a 504 plan, because in case they say, oh, we don't do those, or whatever the case may be, you will have an email request out there to the school counselor. And then you really need to be a partner for the school with regard to your child and your child's diabetes management. I always say approach the school in a spirit of cooperation. They are there to educate children. These are educators and school nurses that we're working with, and as a team, we are much better than we are as individuals. So, what should you ask for in the 504 plan? Well, these are accommodations that might include things like the ability to check blood glucose during a standardized test. What you don't want is a child with a glucose level of 40 taking a high-stakes test that may decide whether they can move on from third grade or not. You also might ask for access to the blood glucose meter at all times for a child who can manage diabetes independently, and your diabetes care team has said, yeah, this kid can do it on their own. An example: why would a child's blood glucose meter be in the school nurse's office when they're out at a football practice out on the field? The meter will do them much more good on the bench where they can get to it to check for low glucose. And then finally, it might be if the glucose is high, access to the bathroom or a drinking fountain. Some schools have rules about how many times you can leave the classroom, but these really shouldn't apply to a child who has hyperglycemia or a high glucose level. So what do you do if the school says no? Well, you ask again in writing, and you're going to ask your diabetes doctor to write a letter requesting the plan. The office should be very helpful in doing so. If you really can't get the accommodations you need for your child, again, to be medically safe at school, you can always call the American Diabetes Association at 1-800-DIABETES and ask for help. But it usually doesn't get to that, but that number is there for you in the event that you need it. That's it. Thanks for being here.